In hardcore classic WoW, each zone has their respective major threats that loom in the background as you take your inevitable first steps into each zone. The Eastern Kingdoms is arguably the most beloved continent for the majority of WoW players, but it also has its fair share of challenges in hardcore, and it could be considered the most dangerous of the two continents in vanilla WoW. Here's the deadliest enemy for each zone of the Eastern Kingdoms in WoW Classic Hardcore. For this video, I will go in level order for the zones, starting in Elwyn and ending at the Plaguelands. With that being said, let's start the video. Of course, beginning with the starting zones, the deadliest enemy in Elwyn is the Cobalt Miner, found in the Fargo Deep Mine. These are levels 6 and 7, and are a notorious noob killer despite their simplicity, as Fargo Deep is a really large and somewhat complex mine with a lot of kobolds densely packed within. They only have an armor shred, which isn't terrible, but can make you take an unprecedented amount of damage very quickly. This, combined with the limited tools at your disposal at low levels, makes these catch many new players off guard. For similar reasons, the most dangerous enemy in Dun Moreau is the Wendigos in the Grizzled Den, found in the center of the zone. These are also levels 6 and 7, and happen to be in a giant cave just like the kobolds. The Grizzled Den actually is incredibly large for this level, and is one of the biggest caves in the game, which makes it especially dangerous if you are in too deep. The Wendigos only have a frost breath for extra damage, which can add up pretty quickly at these low levels, but isn't too much to worry about. On to Tirisfal Glades, the enemy of note is the Cursed Dark Hounds, which are located around the wilderness of Tirisfal at levels 7 or 8. Despite having no abilities, and being out in the open, these are surprisingly dangerous, primarily near the west road of Brill, where if they happen to wander too close to the road near players walking just out of death knell, they can easily claim their lives without much counterplay, so always be on the lookout for them. Next, we have the most notorious enemy in all of hardcore, that being the Defias Pillagers at level 14 and 15, around Moonbrook and other Defias camps. The danger posed by these enemies is a result of their often close proximity to other Defias enemies, their frost armor slowing melee attackers, and most importantly their fireballs that do an absurd amount of damage for this level, meaning line of sighting in interrupts is invaluable against these enemies. Then, for Loch Madan, there are the various Stone Splinter Trogs south of Thelsamar. These enemies are dangerous primarily because of the extremely high mob density in the valley they are located in, which makes it really easy to overpull enemies, resulting in a swift death. At this level, most classes still won't have all of their escape tools or abilities for strong AoE, so it can be really easy to get overwhelmed in areas like this. For Silverpine, there are the notorious Sons of Argal, found all around the zone. These enemies are level 24-25 elites with various patrol paths to the north and south of the Sepulchre. The somewhat hilly and forested terrain of Silverpine makes it quite easy to be snuck up on by the Sons of Argal, and you won't go a day without seeing a couple victims of them on the death log. These enemies have such a bad reputation that many players will skip this zone entirely on hardcore when playing Horde, so always watch out for them. Before we continue the video, I just wanted to thank you for watching so far. If you enjoy my content, feel free to like and subscribe to see more videos in the future. Seeing as an overwhelming majority of my viewers are not subscribed, it would really help me out if y'all hit that subscribe button below. Now, back to the video. Next, in Red Ridge Mountains, there are the Black Dragon Whelps found all along the area south of the lake. These whelps have a really hard-hitting fireball with a ridiculous 40-yard range, which means these guys are practically snipers that can destroy your health bar if you don't have a lot of max HP. These enemies also often kill lower level Alliance players traveling to Lakeshire for the first time, since these whelps are level 17 or 18 and can sometimes wander very close to the road. For Duskwood, we obviously have Stitches, the giant abomination summoned by Abercrombie to attack Darkshire. As a level 35 elite, Stitches vastly outlevels almost the entire zone, and for that reason is extremely dangerous. Any adventurer who wanders into him will almost always perish, as Stitches is very fast and does a huge amount of damage as an elite. When he reaches Darkshire, he also has a habit of randomly attacking players when they leave the inn, which is usually very surprising, and a terrible way to die, since you can barely see it coming. When it comes to wetlands, there is a technical answer for the deadliest enemy, or there is a more logical answer. For raw kill count, the various Crocolisk across wetlands are the most dangerous, but this is almost entirely due to Night Elf players dying when attempting the Wetlands run, even if there are safer paths they could be taking to reach Stormwind. For this reason, I would actually say the deadliest enemy in the Wetlands would be the Dragon Maw Raiders. These are level 26 to 27 orcs and are very dangerous both because of their often close proximity to other orcs, but also because they have a 10-second ranged instant cast net, which can easily render you unable to escape, and if you have 3 or more enemies attacking you, this can be certain death if you don't have an ability to save yourself. Next to Hillsbrad Foothills, the deadliest enemy is the Terran Mill and South Shore Guards, both of which are level 55 elites that patrol around their respective towns. The South Shore Guards often claim the lives of Horde players that simply wander too close to the South Shore without paying attention, or players who attempt to do the Helcular's Revenge quest in the South Shore Graveyard, which is super sketchy and definitely not worth the high risk of death. The Terran Mill Guards are the more dangerous of the two, often killing unassuming players who are on their way to Alterac, since they walk right next to the main road. Speaking of Alterac, the Dalaran Shield Guards at the Ruins of Dalaran are especially dangerous. These are level 31 or 32 humans who have a very deadly violent shield ability, which will reflect damage back at the attacker when the caster is hit by a melee attack. Both rogues and feral druids need to be very careful when fighting these enemies, as it is really easy to kill yourself on the violent shield effect when attacking these guards, since they attack so quickly. Next, in Arathi Highlands, we have the Witherbark Headhunters found in the Witherbark Village and the cave to the southeast. These Headhunters are level 34 or 35 trolls, which are dangerous for 2 abilities in particular. Their 10-second net is obvious for the issues it can cause, but can be very dangerous in combination with their Execute, which can do a lot of sudden burst damage and can result in a much swifter than anticipated death for many. If we look to the far south of Stranglethorn Vale, the deadliest enemy here is Zanzil the Outcast and his skeletons. Zanzil is found in some ruins on the east coast of Stranglethorn and is a level 46 troll. Additionally, Zanzil has the ability to summon a low health ward that can summon extra level 45 skeleton adds at a pretty rapid rate. These skeletons combined with the lightning bolts casted by Zanzil can do a lot of damage very fast. Luckily, the skeletons can be avoided by running to the nearby water where they can't follow you. This will not save you from Zanzil himself though. What is funny about Zanzil is that he is not necessary for any quest, so you can completely ignore him if needed. So it is quite odd that so many people died to him and his skeletons. If we look to the Badlands, Zeracotl is the most threatening enemy here. This is a level 55 rare elite vulture that roams around the entire Badlands and racks up such a high kill count from being a very high level elite patrol in an area much lower level than it. If you get snuck up on by Zeracotl, it only takes 2 or 3 hits to drop you to 0 health, so always be on the lookout. Now for the Swamp of Sorrows, there are the Lost One Rift Seekers found in the camp to the north of the zone at levels 37 and 38. These are very unique enemies as far as Classic goes, being our first look at the Draenei in WoW. The Rift Seekers are so dangerous since they not only have Shadow Bolts, but have Imp Companions and the ability to summon Lost One Rift Travelers, which are extra level 25 adds. These are pretty easy to deal with, but those combined with the casting of the Seeker and the Imp can be a lot of targets that can do a lot of damage, combined with an extra aggroed enemy or two. For the Hinterlands, we have the elite Vile Priestess Hex found atop Jintha Allure. Hex is dangerous not only because she has powerful abilities, but also because she is surrounded by other nearby elites and has health equal to that of a dungeon boss. For abilities, Hex has a 10-second Hex which will polymorph a party member for a few seconds, a Shadow Word Pain, and a heal that can be used on herself or an ally. The Hex is particularly dangerous if it is placed on your healer or tank, since Vile Priestess Hex could begin to attack other squishier party members, where she can do a lot of damage very quickly. Also, running is very sketchy here, since you are a top Jintha Allure, which is full of elites. As we look to Searing Gorge, the Dark Iron Sentries, level 48 elites, are the enemy of note. These are simple enemies with no abilities, found along the various watchtowers of the zone, as well as 2 being adds that assist Overseer Maltorius. Both of these spawn locations offer their own bit of challenge. For the runs on the watchtowers, it can be very easy to accidentally run into them, since it is quite hard to see them on the watchtowers from below. Since they are elites that do quite a bit of damage, it's not uncommon for players with little knowledge of Searing Gorge to walk straight into these enemies. For the ones by Maltorius, they simply just make a difficult boss encounter even harder, since dealing with the ads and Maltorius all at once with his giant health bar can be a major challenge for most classes. For the Blasted Lands, Taramis the Devourer is the deadliest enemy here, and he is a massive mini-world boss, Black Drake, that patrols around the entire zone. Getting snuck up on by Taramis is a very easy way to die, since he can one-shot most characters with relative ease. Taramis single-handedly makes the Blasted Lands really tense and always keeps players on edge, and there is good cause for that. Now onto the max level zones. First is the Burning Steppes. The most dangerous enemy in this zone is the Black Rock Slayer, found around the center of the zone. These are level 56 and 57 orcs that often spawn in groups and hit very hard. Their damage combined with their hamstring, or slows, and their execute makes them very threatening even for non-elite mobs at such a high level. In the Western Plaguelands, we have the Skeletal Flayers and Slavering Ghouls, which are around level 50 and located in the graveyard near Chillwind Camp and around the first Scourge Cauldron in the zone. Both of these enemies are dangerous for their Thrash ability, which can cause them to do massive burst damage if it stacks up enough whilst you run away from them or kite them. For this reason, they are particularly dangerous for mages who like to AoE farm, since if they manage to get to you during a long AoE pool, they can one-shot you. Now, lastly for this video, we have the Fallen Heroes, level 58 to 60 elites that spawn when a player interacts with the Blood of Heroes found on the ground around the zone. These enemies are extremely dangerous even for geared max level players, as they hit like an absolute truck, and can spawn in pairs of 2, and have multiple very dangerous abilities. And they don't despawn for a long time after they have been summoned and not been killed. Always look out for these enemies, even if you aren't planning on touching the Blood of Heroes, because they could be waiting around after claiming the life of another Clues hardcore adventurer. And that concludes the video on the deadliest enemy in each zone for the Eastern Kingdoms in WoW Classic Hardcore. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more content like this. If there's anything you would add, let me know in the comments below. Anyways,